Hello and welcome to Football Funders episode 37. Today, again, it's me, Dan, and Ryan. Hello, Ryan.
Hello.
Yeah, again, we've kind of made the show up just before we've come on. So today we're going to discuss Premier League and what's coming for the next season for the clubs. But of course, we'll start with our famous sponsors. We'll start with Let Us Talk Mental Health, who play tomorrow night, which is Friday, the 22nd. So I'm aware that a lot of you won't be able to make it because the show probably won't be up in time. But please do head over to their Twitter, their Instagram, which is at Let Us Talk _MH. Find out how they got on. We were playing in the National Affinity Cup quarterfinal against the Bradley Lowry Foundation South. It's Southend-on-Sea. So if you're in Southend, South Church, Northumberland Crescent, Southend-on-Sea, SS1 2XB. Yes, Ryan.
Bradley Lowry, isn't that the young lad from Sunderland?
Yes.
Oh, cool. Oh, that's awesome.
That's today in the quarterfinal. And of course, the Proper Blokes Club, which was started in September 2020. You know, just go out for a walk with your friends and people you don't necessarily know. Talk about mental health. Get yourself feeling great. Ryan, you've been on a few. So do you want to explain it to the people?
Yeah, I've got a wonderful bunch of weirdos down by me. We all go out. We have a wander. We have a walk. We have a talk. Anything we want to get off our chests, we get off our chest. No judgment. If you want advice, guys tend to lean on each other to ask for a bit of advice if need be. And then 9 times out of 10, we walk a couple of miles, turn around, walk a couple of miles back, and then end up at the pub and have a nice drink and do what we're doing tonight, really, which is shooting the shit. So yeah. It's all good.
Of course, if you want to find them on Twitter, they're at Blokes Club. Same for Instagram. I believe their Facebook is just the Proper Blokes Club. So if you want to find them, head over there. They also have a website, which is www.theproperblokesclub. I think it's .org.uk, but let me double check.
.co.uk.
.co.uk. There you go. I did have it on my screen, but my computer decided to have a moment. So
professionals, honestly.
I'm not a professional. I don't get paid for this.
Tell me about it.
Right, so we'll jump into the Premier League and we'll start with. Do we start at the bottom or should we start at the top? Because we don't really know what the bottom looks like.
Does it look like we're going to know what the top's going to look like either? Because it's pretty close.
Well, at least we'll know the top 4.
Will we?
Well, okay, the top 3, and I have a fairly good idea is finishing 4th. I would say Arsenal weren't going to, but actually they did beat Chelsea last.
Let's start at the top because the top's less interesting than the bottom.
I think the bottom 3, while we're there, the bottom 3 I think are down. So we'll start with Man City. They are top of Premier League right now. The only one area that I have seen any talk of them improving is finding themselves a proper centre forward. Apart from that, I mean, if you had to name one person, who would you name for Man City to bring in?
Me personally, they can't do it now because he's recently moved. But I would have gone for Dusan Vlahovic, who was at Fiorentina, who has unfortunately now gone to Juventus, purely because he's going to be a damn sight cheaper than the player that they're rumoured to have got a deal for, which is Erling Haaland, which is like a £300 million package over 5 years. Obviously, if you can get Haaland and you can afford Haaland, then you go for it because he's the best about. In terms of longevity, in terms of record, currently, you're going to want, if you're given a choice, I think we had this conversation before, I think if you're given a choice between Lewandowski and Haaland, you're probably going to sign Haaland.
Well, yeah, because of his age, isn't it? I was having this discussion with someone at work, and I said, Haaland, you buy Haaland all day because of his age. He's 21. Because we were discussing Kane or Haaland, and I did understand the Kane argument, but Haaland's 21 and is already scoring for.
My only issue with the Haaland deal is I sent it in the WhatsApp chat. I don't know if you've seen it, but the rumours are that the agent fee is £40 million. Alf-Inge Haaland, his father, is going to get a €30 million fee for an advisory fee. Don't ask me why. That's like 70 million quid for people that aren't even actually playing football or working for clubs.
That's getting £30 million for shagging his mum.
Yeah, basically. So
well done for producing this.
Yeah. One of your bollocks gave us this, so here's 30 million quid kind of thing. It's bananas. I mean, me personally, if I'm not obviously Pep Guardiola, but I don't think Haaland suits their style. I think he's an amazing player and he's going to be the best of his generation, in my opinion. I don't think there's anyone that's going to come close. But if I was Manchester City, I think I'd be looking at someone more like Lautaro Martinez, who probably fits into City's style of play better than Haaland does.
You know what? I said this the other day and I got laughed at. Do you know who I actually think would be really good centre forward from Man City?
Go on.
Roberto Firmino.
I can see why you'd go down that way.
I think they should. I think one because I think his time at Liverpool's arguably up, but I think he's that style of player.
I'm not sure his time at Liverpool's up because he's 30, going on 31, so he's got a couple of years left. Play a bit part role, see out your career at Liverpool on a nice big fat contract.
But could you not see him going to like Barca and just having a few years as their main striker rather than playing a bit part for Liverpool?
I could, because Barca seem to sign anyone over the age of 30 that's relatively cheap.
And they've got a £9 billion loan or whatever it is. So,
but I think what's going on at Liverpool is so unique that I think people would be very, very reluctant to leave of their own free will. I mean, Divock Origi is the prime example. Barely plays, does well when he comes on, and it's only now that he's like 27 years old and his contract's about to expire that he's like, well, I might as well go now.
Kind of Milan, isn't he?
I don't know, is he?
AC Milan for Divock.
Okay, well, the deal's done. To be fair, Divock Origi, I think, give him 2 years. I think he's got talent, so he'll do there. But I'll get back onto track. I actually think Liverpool are going to win the title because I know City are, I think, a point ahead.
To be fair.
But I think Liverpool are just more potent up front than City are. City's, for whatever reason, they're not as in form as they were. They're not breaking teams down as easier, and he rotates the front three a lot, and they don't seem to be having as good a season as they were at the beginning of the season. I think Sterling, I haven't seen much of Sterling this year. Is he off the boil at the moment?
I think I've said it on the podcast before. I refuse to watch Man City games, so I can't answer.
And I still don't think Jack Grealish has fit in yet. Don't get me wrong, he's fantastic talent. But I said it when they signed him. I don't think they needed him. And I don't think his style of play suits City because it slows down. And I know you and Pete both said that he'd have to learn to adapt to it. But I'm just not sure he's going to adapt to it. I know me and you have got this big disagreement that he should be a 10. And I've only ever seen him play from the left.
10.
But I'm going to say something really controversial here. People might agree with me. They might not. I just don't think he's a scratch on David Silva.
No. If anyone says he is, then he'd slap it. I was worried where you were going, but no, that's fine.
he's just not even remotely the same. Although they occupy the same sort of space as a pitch, they're just not even remotely the same player.
No.
Honestly, I know it's going to sound really weird, but I'm still baffled as to why they signed him. I genuinely don't understand why.
I'm not sure there's many in the world that can say they're up to the level that David Silva was. Criminally underrated as a footballer.
Absolutely.
Right, so on to the second team. Liverpool in second. Both of us have said that we think they're going to win the league. I don't think this is okay. How do I word this? I think Liverpool don't necessarily need to strengthen in any areas from their first 11. However, if I'm them, I think you need to find a replacement for Jordan Henderson for the long term. Depending on if you trust Harvey Elliott as a central midfielder or as a 10, because I think up from that, everywhere else, they're pretty solid.
Declan Rice. I've said it before. I'll say it again. He's the perfect replacement for Jordan Henderson. Leadership-wise, player-wise, the role that he does, he could easily do Jordan Henderson's role with his eyes closed.
He would definitely break Liverpool's financial model.
That's the only thing for me is like, would they be able to financially do it? I think they could. I'm not sure whether they will.
I was coming into the season convinced that they would move on from Salah and Mane and would need replacing. And then they signed Jota, and now they've signed Diaz.
What a player, by the way.
I mean,
what a player.
There's your front four. You add Firmino to that. There's your 5 rotation. You don't really need to add anyone to it because at least Salah's going to be there another year, even if he just decides to walk at the end of next season.
Yeah, and as we just talked about, you got Firmino as backup. Harvey Elliott, I think, could probably play off of the wings as well. If you really
he has done before.
To.
Curtis Jones has as well.
I'm really big fan of Curtis Jones. Really like him.
Trent more or less does play on the right of them.
Me personally, because I mean, the other question for me was obviously after the season before was at centre back, but they signed Konate, who's done a lot better than I expected.
And ironically, signing Konate has made Joel Matip a much better player as well.
The only downside of it being that it's forced Joe Gomez out.
So it'll be a filler next year, but we'll get on to them soon.
Like I said, I just think Liverpool are a bit more potent, and they've got. This may sound a bit weird, but I think their options up front are better.
Oh yeah, no, they are.
If you look at them player for player, I mean, let's have a quick look. City have got Grealish, Mahrez, Sterling. Who else am I missing?
Jesus,
and anyone else? Am I missing anyone else, or is that the lot?
There must be someone else. No, that might be it.
And then you've got Liverpool, Foden, and then you've got Liverpool. Have got Diaz, the Portuguese guy, Diogo Jota,
Jota, Salah, Mane,
Firmino,
Divock,
Takumi Minamino. I just think they're more, and they seem to be in better form. So I think all it takes, I think Pep even said it himself, one draw, and I think they've lost the title. Because I can't see Liverpool losing another game, because all in all, I said it at the season that I thought Liverpool's midfield was maybe aging and a bit average. I still kind of feel like their midfield could be better. I don't think that they've got an actual star in there, if you know what I mean.
They don't, but I think that's what worked well. Thiago, I mean, the performance he put in the other against City and Man United.
To be fair, he took a while to settle in, and now he's running the show.
I think I might have said on the podcast when they signed Thiago, Thiago is never going to be great against the sides that give him like the crappy sides that sit everyone behind him. Thiago's good against sides that he can make those special passes because that's what he's good at.
I honestly thought they bought him for the Champions League more than anything.
Yeah, so did I. But
dictating the game in the Champions League.
But he's shown it against the top teams in England as well, to be fair.
He has, to be fair. And Liverpool, I know it sounds really weird coming from a Man United fan, but watching Liverpool is fantastic. I love watching City.
Liverpool is so fun.
I love watching City and Liverpool because they're very different styles of teams. But they're both getting almost identical results. It's been so close between them, bar the year that they lost all their defenders and Jurgen Klopp, in my opinion, made the ultimate mistake of ripping out his midfield as well. It's been neck and neck between those two for the last 4 years, 3 years out of 4. So what interests me most, actually, is who's going to finish third and fourth, because Chelsea seem to have shit the bed. Everything that's happened seems to have now translated from the top down to the pitch. And the race for fourth is anybody's, really, because no one seems to want to take control of it.
Well, I still think Chelsea will finish third. I mean, they're 5 points clear with a game in hand right now. And as you said, I don't think Tottenham, Arsenal, or Man United, or West Ham, for that matter, want to finish up there. So we'll move on to Chelsea. Now, I will say, I'd like to be asking this again in 2 months' time. But for me, Chelsea is going to be centre-back, as in to look to improve next year. Because
can they improve next year? Because this is the thing. At the moment, they've still not been sold.
Well, if they can, because Rudiger looks like he's going to bugger off. So does Christensen. So you're left with Chalobah and Silva. You need more.
They've got Malinga Sarr who's playing there at the moment, but I'm not impressed with him. I think they will have more. It also this situation still baffles me as to why they sold Fikayo Tomori, but I've beat that drum a million times on this podcast. But the problem with Chelsea is what's their financial position going to be? They're going to need to actually get rid of Christensen and Rudiger and probably a ton of other people when you think about it, because their wage bill is so high and Roman Abramovich has been bankrolling it for years. He can't do that anymore because he won't be owning the club very shortly.
Did you see today, 21st of April, for those listening, Lewis Hamilton and Serena Williams have put themselves forward as part of one of the bids.
Yes, apparently it's something to do with racial diversity and the plans that they've got for Chelsea. I think it's something to do with a certain person's bid or something.
Yes, Sir Lord someone.
To be honest, it sounds like a load of virtue signalling to me, but
£10 million a pop, apparently.
I don't understand what Chelsea are going to do to diversify Chelsea even more when there's not much actually English or British about Chelsea these days, apart from where they play their football and where their stadium is. The owner's Russian, the fucking management staff are German, Italian, Portuguese, the players. How many Englishmen are in their first starting 11? Reece James, Mason Mount. I think that's it.
Yeah. Loftus-Cheek.
Yeah.
But 4th place, the Spuds, Tottenham. Oh, I find this one very difficult.
I think it's going to be Arsenal. I don't think Tottenham are finishing 4th.
Well, no, I'm just going down league order.
Okay.
Tottenham are currently 4th.
Tottenham are going to need a major clear out in the summer.
The rebuild. See, so I've got an answer to what I think they'll do and what I want them to do. I want them to go and sign a new goalkeeper.
I think they will.
I have a feeling they're just going to rebuild the midfield.
They're going to need more than that. They're going to need to sort their centre-halves out for a start, because they've gone from having probably one of the best partnerships I've ever seen in the Premier League in Alderweireld, and I always get this wrong.
Vertonghen.
Thank you.
Because you always say Vermaelen.
Yeah, thank you. And now they're muddling between Rodon, Sanchez, Dier, Romero. Like, pick a fucking pair for.
To be fair, Romero's a baller.
Well,
someone next to Romero, no problem.
He's only on loan, so unless they sign him permanently,
he's loaned to permanent.
Oh, okay. Well, they're going to have to sign him permanent, but they're going to need to do that. I think they're going to need to sort out their left back situation. They're definitely going to have to sort out their right back situation.
They do need new wing backs. Both Regulion and
as you said, goalkeeper needs replacing. I understand that they're signing Dejan Kulishevsky, the guy they've got on loan at the moment. Apparently that's £25 million, which I think is actually a bargain, because I've been really impressed with him since he's come in. Tanga Ndombele is off ski, and I don't think midfield, with all due respect to them, of Oliver Skip and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg is gonna do too much for you. And I also think if they're going to play with a 10, I think they're going to need a new one.
Well, it's Kulusevski at the minute.
I thought he was playing on the right.
If they play with 5, he plays on the right. If they play with 5 at the back, then he plays on the right.
Oh, okay.
If they play with 4 and they go with Lucas Moura, then he plays the side.
Oh, okie dokie. So, yeah, I think major surgery needed at Tottenham. Major surgery. Sorry for people doing this at home. You have to watch How I Met Your Mother to understand what me and Dan are doing on camera.
Right, 5th place, Arsenal. Sorry, I had a cough. Arsenal. I feel like this is a interesting spot, but it's got to be striker, isn't it? Their main focus has to be goal scorer.
Yeah, they're going to need a new one, because Lacazette doesn't score. I mean, to be fair to Mikel Arteta, he's come out today and said that he's treated Eddie Nketiah quite harshly, which I thought you might giggle at, because you were like, don't touch it with a fucking barge pole.
No shit.
But he did just spank 2 goals past Chelsea last night as Arsenal won 4-2 at Stamford Bridge, I believe, after losing the previous 3 games. Again, major overhaul. Arsenal, major overhaul. Yeah. Sorry, this is gonna fucking. We're gonna have to name this podcast "Major Overhaul." But yeah, there's a lot of work to be done. To be fair, they've got a good core to work from, unlike someone like Tottenham, who don't have much of a core besides Son and Kane. So they've got a good core to work from. Got a good young core as well, with decent experience now.
Saka, Smith Rowe.
Martinelli,
Tierney.
I'm a big fan of Martinelli. He looks amazing. If they can keep him fit, I reckon he could go right to the top of the game.
Yeah, I love Martinelli, and I think rightfully so. I've seen people saying that Kieran Tierney is going to be the captain next year of Arsenal, and then I think fair play. I agree.
Absolutely. I think one of the best areas that Arsenal are probably in above most of their other teams is actually their goalkeeper and back four, because it seems to settled in quite nicely. We criticise the signing of Ramsey, but he's gone up a notch. That is the goalkeeper, isn't it? Ramsdale, sorry.
Who, by the way, if I haven't done shithouse for a while, I feel like it's just him weekly.
Yes.
Have you seen videos of him winding up other fans?
Yes, it's
absolutely delightful. I think we should maybe just call it the Ramsdale segment, or when I get back to finding one. I used to use a Twitter page that would give me a few options. That Twitter page has been closed down.
Oh no, why?
So I'm now just scrolling the internet to try and find funny stuff, but it's not as good as the shithouse Twitter page.
That's absolutely bollocks. Tommy Asu, though, I don't know when Arsenal signed him. Was it at the beginning of the season?
Summer? Yeah, but he's
been a hell of a signing.
Ironically, their form dropped since he got injured.
No, well, yeah, exactly. But I mean, for me personally, I think we're going to have to put a team of the season together at the end of the coming season. I think for me, I think he wins it hands down at right back. I know you've got like Trent and Reece, and Matty Cash has done very well. But I think Tommy Asu has just come out of the blue and really made that right side his own, which has been a problem for Arsenal for years.
Even the Invincible team had Laurent at right back.
Exactly, and then they replaced him with Hector Bellerin, who suffered so many injuries that any potential that he had just went out the window.
And he had a brain like a sieve, bless.
And the centre-back pairing of White and Gabriel...
Paulista.
Second name.
Paulista.
Is it? Okay, then they've settled in well. So I think between their back five plus Smith Rowe, Saka, I think they've got a really good future. I think they need a striker and a really good central midfielder to face that.
Saka and Emil Smith Rowe. Smith Rowe playing centre mid wouldn't be awful.
I'm not sure he's got the legs for it. That would be my only concern.
Right, moving on to the one that we're all dreading. Should we talk about that Manchester-based club, Ryan?
Do we want to do the whole talk about Man United? Because there's been massive news today. So do we want to do it now?
Well, let's touch on it. We might as well.
Manchester United today, for those who haven't heard, have announced the signing of new manager Erik ten Hag from Ajax. First of all, let me say that if my information is correct, then I have to give credit to the new CEO, COO, chairman, whatever the new title is, Richard Arnold, because he's done things very differently to his predecessor, Mr. Woodward. What he's actually done is he's actually let Darren Fletcher and John Murtough do their job. And he said, right, you go away and you bring me the list of candidates. And they brought him back the two candidates who we believe to be, yes, Lee Bowyer and Johnny Jackson. No.
Carl Robinson.
Which was the bloke over in France. I want to say Manuel Pellegrini, but that's completely wrong.
Pochettino.
No, thank you very much. I don't know why I got them wrong.
Where's your brain today?
And Erik ten Hag has got the job. I'm cautiously optimistic. The new structure at Old Trafford, as I said, got to give credit to them, because he's said to them, you bring me the candidates, you interview them, narrow it down, and I'll have the final say. So to be fair to Richard Arnold, he's lent on people that actually know about football. You can question whether they should be in the positions that they're in, but to be fair, they do know about football. And then he's made his decision. And Erik ten Hag has taken Ajax to a semi-final in the Champions League. He's built two teams, one on youth and one on experience. He's got a win percentage ratio of 73% during his time at Ajax, which is phenomenal. I know obviously he's playing in Eredivisie, but
yeah, that's good.
You can't knock a 73% win rate. You just can't. There's a potential for a lot of fantastically talented young players to come with him, as well as not to mention potential backroom staff. That's the key thing for me. If he's coming in, I want him to rip the backroom staff apart and bring in his own people and get these players coached, because for the last, I'd say since Mourinho, I don't think the players that have been there on the field have been coached individually. So no one's looked at their progress and said, right, you're not progressing. This is what you need to do to progress. You need to work towards this. We need to focus on this element of your game. And I think as a result, you've seen the likes of Wan-Bissaka stall, Marcus Rashford has completely shit the bed. Everybody just seems to have fallen off. And under Ralph Rangnick doesn't seem to be leading them anywhere. So for me, this can only be good news. Yeah, what is your take on Erik ten Hag?
No, I completely agree. The one thing I want to stress to United fans and to the rest of the Premier League, do not judge this man on what he does next season.
Yes.
I don't want to see this time next year, I don't want to be sitting on this podcast with other people or Twitter going, well, look what he's done. No. I will judge him in 3 years' time. 3-4 years' time, because it's going to take more than one window to sort this nonsense out.
This is going to take years.
This squad is pony.
Alex Ferguson took 4 years before he built a side capable of doing anything. And this side is much, much worse. Despite the unbelievable talent that is actually in there, this side is completely devoid of leadership, structure, purpose. It's gone down the shit. I mean, let's look at the squad.
Do we have to? I was actually just saying, I actually just went, well, I know what place I want to improve. And then I went, no.
Let's look at it. Goalkeeping, you could probably argue, is their strongest place at the moment.
And one of them's leaving.
Yeah. David De Gea has had a renaissance.
Must be contract due to.
Yeah, probably. And then he'll shit the bed again. Dean Henderson is still there, and I hope he stays because I really want him to be number one.
Oh, he's not going to.
And obviously, there's a couple of backups. I think Lee Grant's still there, and who's the other fella who's still there?
Tom Heaton.
Thank you very much. Right back, Dalot impressed in Italy, has not impressed here. Wan-Bissaka, I think, is salvageable. Agree or disagree?
Yes, I'm pro Wan-Bissaka.
Luke Shaw, I think, could be salvageable, but I don't think he's going to, despite what he did for England and last season, I don't think he's going to be a solid, dependable left back. He's going to go up and he's going to go down.
I think Luke Shaw's solid, but I don't think you can trust him to be fit throughout a season.
I don't
9 times out of 10.
Trust him. I think the problem for me with Luke Shaw is he's very much a confidence player. When his confidence is high and everything's going well, he's a sensational player. But when it's not going well and you need to dig in, that's where he lacks. And the other left back that we've got is Alex Telles, who I think will probably leave because technically very gifted, defensively not very good. The only small mercy is we've got Brandon Williams coming back. And I love him. He had a very good first season for us. And then for some reason, they sent him out on loan to Norwich and it's not gone as well.
I watched him got ripped apart by Dialang Jaisimi.
Yeah, but he is playing for Norwich.
Yeah, but Dialang Jaisimi plays for Charlton.
Yeah, but...
Well, no, that's not true. Dialang Jaisimi sits on the bench for Charlton.
Centre-half is...
Grim.
Pretty grim. Varane came in and I raved about
Can't
Varane,
stay fit.
But can't stay fit. Harry Maguire's shot to shit. Someone please remove his captaincy straight away.
When I saw the team sheet, it said Harry Maguire and Phil Jones. I was like, right, where's my popcorn? This is going to be a good one.
Phil Jones, I actually feel sorry for Phil Jones because he hasn't played in fucking ages. And then Rangnick goes, okay, we're going to start you in a back three in a completely different formation against one of the best teams in the world.
Liverpool.
Yes, let's see how you do. So Phil Jones is going to have to go. Eric Bailly is another one who I like because he's actually a really good last-ditch defender. But the rest of his game's shit, so he's got to go too. Lindelof, I think, is the only one that arguably might benefit from Erik ten Hag because he's very good with the ball at his feet.
I actually think Lindelof is very good if you play a 3.
Yes, he is. He proves it for Sweden all the time.
Right side of a 3, good. Right side of a 2, no.
No good. I actually think if you're playing a 4, I actually think you could use him quite effectively as a right back. I think we've talked about this before. He could be the one to benefit. Axel Tuanzebe, I think he's coming back, or is he signed permanently for Villa?
I mean, he's currently lost in Italy somewhere, not playing any football. So,
did he move from Villa?
Yeah, he's in Napoli. He went to Napoli in January.
Oh, okay. I must have missed that one.
I mean, he's gone to Napoli, and I think he's played about 4 games.
He's coming back, but I've got my reservations about him. As good as he is defending,
he couldn't get in a Villa team that had Tyrone Mings in it. So,
as good as he is defending, he seems to be a bit of a no-fly zone, as in you can just bomb all over his head and he can't head the ball. So I saw it at Villa when they come up and people were raving about him. I'm like, yeah, he's great as like tackling. His positioning is very good, but the ball flies over his head for shit. So
good to be international.
Yeah, I mean, fucking Jesus. Any of those centre backs that you really want to keep? I know I don't.
I mean, if Varane can stay fit, you keep Varane.
Varane and Lindelof, maybe, but Harry Maguire's shot to shit. And I'm sorry, he's never been an £80 million defender in his life. He'd be like, the only reason we paid 80 million for him is because
he's English.
He's English. That's it. If he wasn't English, we'd be paying about 35 million.
You wouldn't be buying him at all.
People comparing him over the years to Rio Ferdinand, it makes me vomit. It genuinely does to even put them in the same bracket.
Yeah, so my first thought, and as I've said on this podcast for a year now, the position I was going to go for was, and it's something that I've sung all year, I was going to say they need new midfield, which they do.
Yeah.
They do need new midfield. However, we've just discussed the defenders, and actually before we even started, that was my first thought was, we need no, their defence is shit. But then you move into the midfield and break the midfield down, and that's also shit.
And it's going to be half empty because Pogba's leaving.
It's going to be, ironically, I've spent all season slagging them off. It's going to be Fred and McTominay.
Yes, that's all we're going to have left because Pogba's leaving, and Nemanja Matic has already announced that he's going to be leaving Man United at the end of the season. How that's quite going to work, I don't know. But I think he's going to be leaving with a year left on his contract. So
I'm very, very intrigued to see Van der Beek's future because I know he'll be back at United. There's rumours that Ten Hag has told him, me and you, son, we're going to be buddies. So very interesting to see if he becomes an 8 or a 10.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what kind of lineup we get. But essentially, we're left with Fred, McTominay, and Van der Beek is the central midfield option. My only concern with Ten Hag coming in is
how quickly you sign Sebastian Haller.
No, is what's actually going to happen to Scott McTominay. Because from my opinion, I think
his
Scott
righteous home at Newcastle
has been Manchester United's best midfielder this season. People can argue with me if they want to. The fact that he didn't play against Liverpool and they went with Matic and Pogba in central midfield was baffling. Absolutely baffling. The one defensive-minded midfielder you've got and you leave him on the bench.
You've got 2 midfielders trying to cover that much space and you play Matic.
It's nonsense. So I'm worried that I might actually see a midfield next season of Van der Beek and Fred. That does concern me.
Freddie boy. And then obviously the front line is probably where you're strongest.
I've got to be clear here. Fred has got a lot of shit from everywhere, including on this podcast. But I've got to give him credit because he's actually improved this season massively. And he's one of the very few players that actually looks like he gives a fuck.
Oh, I'll give him that.
Him and McTominay are the only 2 that actually look like they seem to care. So
they try hard.
Lingard's off as well because his contract's expired. Jadon Sancho, yes, okay, you want to keep him.
Get to Lingard in a minute, ironically.
Ahmed Diallo will be back, but whether he'll be first team...
I mean, he won't be because he can't get in the Rangers team.
Okay. We've got young options in Elanga, Showtire.
I love Elanga.
Rashford, if we can rescue him, then okay. I'm not sure he's going to work for Ten Hag because he's not as technically gifted as he thinks he is. The worrying part is Cavani's not been fit this season, so I think he'll leave. I don't know where he is at the moment, but he is like 35, 30.
He's leaving anyway, isn't he?
So
there's rumours in South America that he signed a deal with one of the big Brazilian clubs from Christmas onwards. So I don't know if maybe he'll sign like a part-time deal because their season runs December through, doesn't it? Because Brazil's schedule is fucked up.
Martial's coming back. He's another one we're going to have to try and shift.
Forgot about him.
Unfortunately, I can't see him staying. Where did he go? He went to Spain. So
Sevilla.
Apparently, they don't want him.
Are you surprised?
We're going to have Ronaldo, who, by the way, my heart bleeds for him. I don't know if you've heard that. Sadly, one of his twins passed away.
Yeah,
during childbirth.
Liverpool. To be fair, one of those moments where the world took over football. And, You'll Never Walk Alone was beautiful.
Absolute shout out to Liverpool fans and Liverpool players and everybody involved with that. And as a Man United fan, I would also actually like to condemn and apologise for the behaviour of some of my club's fans for, again, singing disgusting songs about Hillsborough. It's absolutely distasteful, and it's not the vast majority of the fans. Unfortunately, it's a few minor morons. And again, I can only applaud Liverpool's fans and Liverpool Football Club for the gesture that they showed for Ronaldo. So Ronaldo will stay.
Beautiful.
The issue around Mason Greenwood, unfortunately, there's no news.
It's not going to end soon.
So you can't count on Mason Greenwood. So just looking at that, I'm sure there are other players that we've forgotten to mention that are either in the background out on loan or somewhere. But Manchester United is going to need a complete overhaul. The good thing is again, I'm going to give credit to Richard Arnold and to Darren Fletcher and John Murtagh. They've already started adjusting things behind the scenes. Our head of global scouting has gone. Our chief scout, who's been with us for about 16 years, has gone. And don't get me wrong, he's done a very good job for 16 years, but sometimes 16 years in a job for anyone can be too long, and sometimes you need to change. So changes are already being made at the club, and new managers coming in, old staff are going out. I'm sure the new managers said who he wants to bring in to replace those people. And I just hope that the Richard Arnold and the board are going to get behind Ten Hag and let him basically just rip the guts out of the club and start again. Playing squad, training staff, scouting staff, medical staff, I think, need to be looked at as well, because this year we've had a lot of injuries. And considering this is Old Trafford that has got medical facilities built underneath the ground, because that was Alex Ferguson's last thing before he left, we should be doing a lot better with injuries than we are.
Right. One last thing before we move on. You're allowed one signing at Man United, just the one. For you, who is it?
Milinkovic-Savic. For me personally, I think he's a leader. I think he's got tenacity, determination. His skill set is unbelievable. I mean, he's probably one of the most complete midfielders I've seen in years. And if we can't get him, then the other one I think would be Declan Rice, just to bring some leadership into that team and get it sorted again, because I think the only leader we actually have is Bruno Fernandes. And I think he's completely given up, because no matter what he's done or what he's tried, nothing's happening. So
I've just worked out who the Liverpool player is I want them to sign.
You want Man United to sign a Liverpool player?
No, the Liverpool, as in the Liverpool one, when I said I couldn't think of anyone I wanted to bring in.
Yeah, go on.
Jude Bellingham. There we go.
But again, I should have actually mentioned that earlier, because he was linked previously when we were talking about Declan Rice. Jude Bellingham's not going to be cheap either. You're going to be looking at like 100 million.
I love Jude Bellingham.
I think he's going to be a cracking player. A midfield for England in 2 years of Jude Bellingham and Declan Rice. Yes, please.
2 years? I wanted this World Cup. Thanks.
Yeah, so do I. But we don't know it's not going to happen. Please don't get
it's not.
Gareth Southgate again.
But it's not going to. Right, we'll move on to the next. We'll try and knock out some teams before we get to the bottom sides. West Ham. Well, this one, I think, answers itself, really, doesn't it? They need a striker.
I think they need a striker and probably a midfielder if they're going to keep Declan Rice. Souček, is it Souček who's the centre half?
No, Souček is the centre midfielder.
The central midfielder, sorry. Declan Rice's partner. He's not been as good this season as he has been previously. So, yes, definitely a midfielder, but absolutely a striker.
Because Mikel Antonio. Like, nothing against Mikel Antonio, but he is their only hope.
But they need a striker.
Help me, Mikel. You're my only hope.
Yes, but he's not even a striker. He's done fantastically, don't get me wrong. But he's not getting you 20 goals a season. He might get you 15 if he's having a good season. They need also a proper striker.
He's also 30 and does enjoy a good injury.
Well, unfortunately, his running style, he's all or nothing. He's a million miles an hour, that player. So he's going to pull stuff. And he's not getting any younger either. I think he's about 31 now, isn't he?
But he is now an international, so congratulations.
Good luck to him. But no, moving on.
This one, I've just seen their stats. This shocks me. Wolves are in 8th. Do you know how many goals they've scored this year?
Probably about the same amount of games they've played, I would have thought.
They have scored 33 goals. You need to buy a winger that replaces Jota.
The problem is they've got a lot of young talent there, a lot of Portuguese talent too. Neto's a fantastic young talent. A big fan of Daniel Podence.
But they've not replaced Jota's.
Well, they did because they replaced him with Podence. But
Podence clearly isn't.
He doesn't score
in terms of goals and assists. He's obviously not doing anywhere near what Jota did. Because they've only conceded 28 goals this year.
Yes.
So they can defend, learn to score.
I think they need backup to Jimenez because he's the only one they've got. Sorry, Jimenez. Because that's the only one they've got.
Who's tried to rip off Butcher with the
I think they're going to need another midfielder because as much as João Moutinho has been amazing, he's 34 now, I think.
Oh, I love João Moutinho.
So his time's coming.
Right, next one. This team is another team I think overhauling coming. Leicester City. I would say they need a striker. However, I think they're going to lose Yuri Tillemans this summer, and that's going to be a big hole.
I think they need a lot more than just a striker and Yuri Tillemans. I don't think they've replaced.
No, they do. That's why I said they need a new squad.
I don't think they've replaced Chilwell at left back. I know they did have a talented youngster. Was it Thomas?
Yeah,
who got a big injury, so it wasn't going well. Centre half, I think they've struggled. They brought in centre halves and they've not done well. Why they signed Vestergaard, I will never know. That man turns like a tanker. But Jamie Vardy needs a replacement. He's 35.
A hit replacement.
Yeah, I like Iheanacho. I think Iheanacho's done very well, but it's not going to happen.
My favourite name in football.
Going to need to be replaced because he's
57.
I think now, and don't get me wrong, he's doing fantastically for a 34-year-old in the Premier League, but that squad is another one that's going to need an overhaul.
Indeed. Right. Next one, Brighton. Didn't know they were in the top 10. Completely unaware of their season.
Started well, but dropped off because they can't score goals, so they're another team that needs a striker.
Yes, I was about to say, they've only scored 29 goals this year. However, I'm going to slightly disagree. I think they could do with a striker. I think they need someone to provide for a striker. I think Mopé does know where the goal is. He just has no one to give him the ball.
I would agree with you, but I still don't think, even if he does have someone who's going to give him the ball, I still don't think he's scoring more than 15 in a season.
No, but for Brighton, you're pushing it to find someone who scores more than 15.
To be honest, I think that there are players out there. I mean, we go on FM Scout report all the time and mention names.
Lorenzo Luca's available for them. I'm
sure Piccoli would like a match every now and again.
Karim Adeyemi isn't available anymore, Brighton. I'm very sorry, but Dortmund have beaten you to it.
I'm not surprised. And to be fair, that's not a bad signing to replace your outgoing not Alfie Inge Haaland, because that's
Alfie Inge Haaland. Fuck me. Yeah. He's come back.
Is it Erling? No.
Erling. Yeah, Erling.
Erling Braut Haaland, isn't it? Or is it the other way around?
Brute.
Aye.
Ironically, Erling Haaland, born in Leeds. You didn't know that?
And doesn't play for England. What a bastard.
Harry Kane and Erling Haaland up front, yeah?
And let's be honest, if we get Erling Haaland for England, Harry Kane's not playing.
Oh, he would. He'd play like centre mid for Southgate.
Well, actually, he'd probably play the 10, to be honest, wouldn't he? Be the only change Gareth Southgate would actually make. Anyway, moving on.
Right, next one, Newcastle. Should we just put new team because they're going to do it?
I don't think they are. I'm going to buck the trend. I think people are expecting Newcastle to spend shitloads. And I don't think they're going to.
One position I'm convinced they're going to sign someone.
Go on.
I mean, they're going to sign. I think they'll sign one key player for every position, like as in centre back, centre mid striker. They need to get someone next to Bruno in the midfield because John Joe Shelby is not it.
No, he's done well. I think the first thing they should do when this season ends is sign Matt Targett permanently. I think he's done very, very well for Newcastle, and I really rate Matt Targett. Yeah, I do. I think he's massively underrated, and he has been for years. Everyone was raving about people like Konsa and Twanzebe and Mings when they came up, Aston Villa.
Stop it.
But Targett was there.
We'll have no Ezri Konsa slander on this.
I'm not. No, but what I'm saying is they were so busy focused on the centre halves that Matty Cash and Matt Targett have largely gone unnoticed until now.
Matty Cash, Poland international.
I know, right? Even though he's English. Again, the joys of international football, it makes no fucking sense. But yeah, sorry, where were we? So Newcastle, I don't think they're going to spend as big as people think. I think this is going to be a gradual build-up because if they spend too much, then they're in breach of financial fair play, and then you're getting points deductions, suspension from Europe, suspension, financial ramifications as well. So I think it'll be a gradual build. I think they're going to need.
They don't want to be a QPR times 2. Do you remember when QPR thought they could come in the league and buy all sorts of nonsense?
Well, Fulham did it. If I remember rightly, they came up a couple of years ago, spent something like £120 million and went straight back down again. I mean, we talked about it on the previous podcast of Andre Schurrle.
It's right, they'll be down again next year, don't worry. They got promoted the other day. Congratulations.
I know. And can I just say, I called that one. And Mitrovic.
You didn't.
No, I don't think you did. If we go back...
I did. I've got the predictions on my phone. I put Fulham to go up. Yeah.
I was going to say, we'll have to listen to the pod back and see. But I was like, yeah, I think they're going up. And Mitrovic has been... I don't know what's happened to him this year, but wow.
This year, every time he needs a league between the Premier League and the Championship because he scores for fun in the Championship.
I know.
Can't hit a fucking bundle.
This is a different level. I think is it like a goal every game or something in the like 39 goals in 39 games or something phenomenal like that this season. It's ridiculous. Absolutely phenomenal. But yeah, I think Newcastle are going to require a fair bit of surgery. I actually think there's going to be more going outs than going ins. Having looked at the squad on Football Manager, there's a lot of crap there that really does need to go.
While we're on the subject of promotions, very quickly, I'd just like to say congratulations and then cry a little bit as a Charlton fan. As congratulations to Forest Green Rovers, who'll be playing Charlton next year. Looking forward to a trip to Forest Green next year. I don't know where that is. We'll move on. Brentford.
That's if you stay up, of course.
Oh, we're up. We're fine. We're finishing 13th and we're going to fucking like it. 12th place. Now, I'm going to say for Brentford, it's Brentford, all right? I'm not going to say they need to sign someone new. They need to re-sign Christian Eriksen. I don't care who else you bring in. Keep Eriksen.
That's if he will, because I've heard that they want him back at Tottenham quite desperately. And he's very keen to go back. Mean,
he's been very, very good for them. And they a few weeks ago, they were, people were going, they could go down. Eriksen started playing and all of a sudden they're in 12th.
I think when it comes to Brentford, I don't think what they do on the pitch in the transfer market is more of what they do off of it. I think they're going to have to seriously look at their business model because under its current guise, second season syndrome, they got a potential to go straight back down if they don't spend. And from what I've read, they've actually got an enormous squad. They've got so many players out on loan.
Their B team's huge.
Yeah, so many players out on loan. So I think they're going to have to sell them and raise some revenue.
Invest
in quality Premier
Charlton
League players.
Nicked half their academy staff.
Good for them.
To become our backroom staff.
Good.
Their head of youth development or whatever he is or was, is now our club director or something.
Well, as long as Charlton are actually making changes for positive changes, but Chelsea are going to link Chelsea and Brentford here. It's probably not going to please too many people. But in the same way that Brentford are going to have to clean out their under 18s, under 23s, B team, whatever you want to call it, Chelsea are going to have to do exactly the same thing, because their model of buying young talent on high wages and stocking them and loaning them, that's going to have to stop under new managers unless they're going to have another Roman Abramovich come in.
Right, on to 13th, Southampton. Probably the most boring club in the Premier League because I don't know who plays for them.
I think the thing with them is they don't tend to spend much money either. They seem to sell a key player every year and then not really spend the cash afterwards. They've done it with Van Dijk. There's been other people that have left over due course. Gareth Bale, Theo Walcott. It goes back and back and back. I think the biggest thing for Southampton is keeping hold of James Ward-Prowse, because I'd love to see him at Old Trafford under Ten Hag. I think he'd be a sensation. Him and McTominay in midfield. Oh, yes, please.
Who's next? Oh, it's the other South London lot.
Palace.
Yeah, them ones.
To be honest, I think they might need a striker because Benteke's not cutting it ever. And for some reason, they bought Edison. No, what's his name? Is it Edward?
Odson.
From Celtic.
Yeah, Odson Edward.
Yeah, Odson Edward. And then for some reason, they've decided to play him on the left or the right. They're not using him as a striker. So what the fuck is that? I think they're going to need a couple of players, a decent striker, or play Edward up front. I think they've got some really good talent in Michael Elise, and it is Michael Elise, isn't it? And I can't pronounce his first name, but Eze, he's going to be
Barry Eze.
Yeah, he's going to be back from injury if he's not back already, and he's going to be a cracking player. Maybe a central midfielder and a striker.
I think he may have played the other day. I think a striker. Palace need a striker. Bless them. Not bless them. I hope they get relegated and play in the Conference South, frankly. But as
and let's not go back to our conversation about Wilfried Zaha. We'll leave that one alone.
I think they need a striker. That's their big need.
I think they're set defensively. I think defensively they look quite good.
Yes, I mean they're also going to have to replace Conor Gallagher.
But they might sign him permanently because you don't know what the Chelsea situation is.
They got true, but they're being reported 50 million.
Unless Chelsea get rid of Kovacic, Jorginho, Kante, and whoever else is there.
Jorginho leaves this summer.
The likes of him hardly going to get a game. Then you've got the situation with Billy Gilmour as well.
Well, Billy Gilmour has stunk the bed out for Norwich. So.
And then you've got Ross Barkley, who's been playing randomly, who's gonna. There's a lot of shit to get rid of at Chelsea. Let's put it that way.
Right, next one, Aston Villa.
I think signing Coutinho permanently would be a good move.
Yes, and then
I think that's about all they need.
I'd argue they probably need to find a better player next to Konsa, because I don't think Mings is good. Frankly, and neither do Villa fans. You could also argue maybe a striker, depending on because Ollie Watkins seems to be playing more to the side with Ings through the middle, and Ings has not really repeated his form that he showed elsewhere. But I think the big one for them is to replace Mings.
I think for Villa, I think it's going to be pretty much, if we've got loan players that have impressed like Coutinho has, sign them permanently, and I think that's it. Unless they've come up, unless they're going to pull something fantastically out of their arsehole like they did with Coutinho. Then
Sorry, I've just seen a gif of fans celebrating wildly, throwing beer everywhere, and I looked at the hashtag, and it was when Charlton announced that Ben Watson won't play for us next year.
Yes, I did see your message in the group chat.
16th, Leeds United.
Massive overhaul.
Could learn to defend this summer would be nice.
Massive overhaul.
Stop shipping goals.
They need everything.
68 goals they've conceded this year.
They need everything. That squad has been championship level for the whole season. And it's actually been below championship level because when they've had their injuries, the players that they brought in are nowhere near good enough. I mean, full credit to them for taking...
Daniel James.
Well, to be fair, take full credit to them for believing in their youth system, but you can't chuck kids in like Tyler Roberts and expect them to do well. It's not going to do it. They're going to need two centre halves easily, full-backs easily, central midfielders.
Who's their left back?
I honestly couldn't tell you.
Junior Firpo, full-backs.
Poor old Dan James, as much as I love him, he's tried his hardest, but when you're a winger...
He's a championship player.
But he's about 5'5", and they're playing him up front. It's... What are you going to do? Seriously, Antonio Rudiger's about, 6'5"?
Run, Forest!
Like that. Exactly. It's just like, punt it up there and see if Dan James can run. I'm not going to judge Dan James on this season because it's been a mess for Leeds. And he's been playing out of position.
At least they're safe.
Patrick Bamford. So, to be fair to... I'm going to get his name completely wrong. Jesse March.
Yes.
I got it right. Bloody hell. To be fair to him, he's solidified that side and he's got them playing a little bit differently.
They've even won a game.
And I want to give him full respect because he came out in the press and said, we've had so many bad injuries because of Marco Bielsa.
Yes, which me and you said.
Everybody knew it was true, but nobody had the balls in the press or the pundits to actually come out and say it. So to hear his replacement come out and say these players have been trained too hard, they're mentally and physically exhausted because they can't keep up the pace. Not of the football on the pitch, because by the time they get onto the pitch, they're dead. Like figuratively speaking, not actually dead. So I'm going to give him full credit. And I was a bit dubious about him because he went to, I think he went to Red Bull or somewhere like that.
Yeah, he's part of the Red Bull tree.
And he didn't do very well. Was it the Red Bull or did he take over Dortmund or somewhere like that?
No, he was at Red Bull New York and then went to Leipzig.
And he didn't do very well. But to be fair, he's come in and he's worked with what he's got and he's got results. So massive overhaul at Leeds. The only thing I would say is they've got a really good young goalkeeper.
Yes, Melier. Right, moving on. Get your salutes ready because Everton are due a major overhaul.
Major overhaul.
Everton need everything.
But do they have the money?
No, but they need everything.
They didn't have the money at the start of the season, and they got.
If you have to say one place that Everton must improve,
go on.
Why is it defence?
I'm going to go a slightly different direction.
You want to keep playing Michael Keane at the back?
No, but I think what they actually need is a new manager.
Yes, well, I agree with that, but I don't think that's going to happen. I'm in complete agreement.
He hasn't been there long. I just don't think he's the man for a fight like that. I think he's one of those people who... I remember you talking about Edgar Davids at Barnet, and I heard similar things about Thierry Henry over in America. There's certain players that go into coaching and they just can't deal with it if the players that they're coaching can't do what they did as players. And I think Frank Lampard's one of them. I think Steven Gerrard's different, and I think
Get
Frank
carried
Lampard,
by Didier Drogba.
Who said that? But yeah, so I think personally, I think
that one will go down well.
A change in manager and a change in management structure as well, I think will help.
Changing everything structure, I think, from the top down.
Well, to be honest, I'm managing them on Football Manager at the moment, and I've made quite a few changes. Yerry Mina's going to have to go for starters because he's crippled as fuck. He's supposed to be their club captain, their best player. He's crippled.
I mean, he is their best player. He's just not on the pitch.
Michael Keane shot to pieces. Can't run anymore either. Who is their left back now?
Vitaly Mykolenko.
Right, so he's the young lad who's come in from the Ukraine. He can't really judge him because of everything that's gone on. He hasn't had too much game time and it's been chaos at Everton anyway. Right back.
And judge the fact that the club let Lucas Digne walk out.
Yeah, but that was Rafa Benitez's fault, to be fair.
Should have fucked off Rafa instead.
Well, they did eventually, which was
eventually they should have done it instead.
Right back, I know they've got Nathan Patterson who's injured at the moment. It does have potential, but Seamus Coleman needs to retire and John Joe Kenny's nowhere near good enough. Midfield, I think they've got two decent midfielders in Allen and Tom, in Allen and Tom Davis. I think they're both very good.
Tom Davis, who wasn't even registered for the.
I know it's a disgrace, but yet Fabian Delphis. I think we had this previously.
Fabian Delphis and Allen. I mean, Allen's great. His legs have just died.
But you can change his role to suit.
Now he just sits there and moves like a robot.
I think with him and Tom. I think him and Tom in midfield, because Tom Allen is such an energetic player. I think the two of them together, I think they could bounce off quite well. I know they do for my side.
I rate Decore, right? However, he's quite clearly choosing not to play.
I've never rated him, so I'm not surprised. I'm trying to flog him at the moment as well. So wide, I think they need major surgery.
Hold on. Yeah, I was about to say that. I was thinking wingers, you need some.
Need two. Minimum two. You got Richarlison and Damari Gray. I'd keep. And Josh Townsend can sod off. Anthony Gordon, is it?
Yes, baller.
I think he's done very, very well, so he needs to stay. And I think they need someone better than Solomon Rondon to back up a really crap Calvert-Lewin.
Rafa's brought in Rondon, did a deal with West Brom.
He's another one that I sell as soon as I can.
And for Burnley, Norwich, and whoever the other team is in the bottom three, Watford.
Norwich will keep the same squad, let's be fair.
Yes.
They'll keep the same squad, and they'll come straight back up again next year.
And so will Watford.
I don't know. I think a couple of players will leave because they've got a lot of players on loan who will go back to their parent club.
Well, I can rightly say Tom Cleverley is where he belongs to be, not in the Premier League.
I think they might struggle to hold on to Ismaili Sarr as well because I think
that last year.
Liverpool keep sniffing around him.
So. Emmanuel Dennis, if he's in the Championship, it's going to be a fucking pain in the arse.
Pain in the arse. I think he's going to tear that division a new arsehole, to be honest.
We're not in it, so not my problem.
The one that really worries me the most, I think, is Burnley. I think they're done. I don't think they're coming back up.
Bye, lads.
Their new management team, whoever it is, has got a world full of trouble. There's bang average players in there that are not even really good enough for Championship level now.
And Nick Pope's going to Fulham, so you don't even have a keeper.
Oh, bloody hell. Is he off to Fulham?
Yeah, well, that's been rumoured that they're £15 million.
And the owners have sold the club hook, crook, loan, leveraged it against so much debt that they're just not going to have any money. The only hope that they're going to have is they might get some decent money for Dwight Neal.
Well, I mean, he hasn't played in ages. Who's favourite for the Burnley job right now?
It's probably going to be someone like Sam Allardyce.
Chris Wilder and Carlos Carvajal. Fuck me. Don't get Carlos Carvajal. Who the hell is Kajit Knutson? Right, hold on. We're doing some research. Rooney's second favourite. But Rooney's not leaving Derby. I'm telling you right now. Derby are going to what's known in the trade as piss the league next year.
Well, it depends on their situation. Because
their situation is solved by the looks of it.
Is it? Have they been bought?
This American fella's closing in. He's been, it looks like he's about to do the deal. So
because Rooney did say it very much depended on the new owners as to whether he stays or not. So
if Tom Lawrence comes to League One, that's filth. And I've seen Christian Bielik in League One already, and I know that's filth because he did it for a year with us.
I think for me personally, I think there's only two Burnley players that I actually like, and that's Dwight. Is it McNeil or O'Neill?
Dwight McNeil, yeah.
And the left back, Matty Taylor.
Ben Taylor.
Charlie Taylor, sorry. Yeah, Matty Taylor was the one who played for Charlton.
Portsmouth. And there was Matty Taylor for us as well, yeah.
Yeah, so Charlie Taylor, I think they're the only two that could probably get a move to the Premier League. But
I've just realised who Charlton are going to replace Chris Gunter with.
Go on.
Curtis Davies, isn't it? It's going to be, isn't it?
Well, I wouldn't have thought so because they don't play in the same position, but you never know.
Chris Gunter played right centre-back for us.
Oh, dear. I saw him play at right back. He wasn't very good there.
I saw him. I wish he played left back in the fucking change. Left him back in Wales, as far as I'm concerned. Newport's calling. Fuck off.
Yes, but unfortunately, I think Burnley are the club that just won't come back up, and I could see them being I really don't want this to happen, but I can see them being the next Bolton. Be a financial fucking mess.
On the bright side, I've just worked out who Fred's partner is next season.
Who's that?
Ben Watson.
Yeah, all right. Are you signing Fred and Ben Watson then?
I'm gonna have neither. Our midfield is going to be the same as it is today. George Dobson and Jake Forster-Kasky. I think we've gone a while on that. That was a good one. So I think we'll cut it off there. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Big salute to, what's his name? Major, what did we decide it was?
Major Overhaul.
Major Overhaul. We will see you all very soon. Once again, if you check out the Let Us Talk score, we play tomorrow night, as tonight is Thursday, tomorrow night, Friday, in the quarterfinal of the Infinity Cup. I'm not there because Southend's really far to get to after a day at work. But good luck to the boys. Hopefully we get it back with a win. And the Proper Blokes Club, check out their walks on their Twitter, at Blokes Club, on their website, which is www.properblokesclub.co.uk, and look for your walk near you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you very much.
See you soon. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.